Hey guys, Enzo here, and it's obvious that Valorant is probably one of the most played games, especially now that most people have probably bought gaming PCs since there aren't many things to do in this pandemic. For the most part, it's been great since there are more people to play with because of how Valorant is easily accessible, does not require any special specs, and an overall, a really fun game to get into. But wait, if you're like me who doesn't play any competitive games, especially shooters, now this could be a problem. Before I start with this guide, let me just remind you guys that I am not a pro, nor have the potential in actually becoming one. Not even average actually. Wow, this is starting to sound depressing. Anyway, one thing that I do have is persistence to learn how to play new games, even if people talk trash at me like crazy. So here are some Valorant guides for us non-FPS gamers that I got from experience and through friends that are actually good at the game. So for our first tip, you should focus on one character or a class. I know that right now, we honestly have a lot of agents available and it gets really confusing. But I would highly suggest that you pick an agent or a class that is somewhat safe, like the Sentinels, which are Cypher, Killjoy, and Sage. These characters are defensive types, and they often slow down site executions or obtaining information. They are also great at watching their teams flank on offense. These heroes will surely help you learn the game's fundamentals like map awareness, kill combos, and critical thinking when it comes to making decisions. I am currently learning how to play Killjoy since her skill set is pretty easy and her traps and turrets could really benefit the team. And, you know, she's cute. So for our next tip is spend time warming up in shooting practice. Using these agent special skills could help, but know that in essence, it's still a shooter. So you should improve your aim. This is personally where I'm terrible at. But shooting practice will surely help you in your reaction time and improve your aim to make it a bit more precise. Moving on, one major factor in playing competitive games is map awareness. And what better way to improve that skill by playing alone in custom games? This will pretty much help you memorize the map to learn how to predict enemy movements for you to flank, or just pretty much not get lost. Try to play a 1 versus 1 game with a friend. This will help you become more attentive to whatever is going on in the game. So for our next tip is to know the metas. In every game, there will always be nerfs and buffs, whether it's an item or a hero. So knowing about this will surely give you an advantage in your preparations. With knowledge comes power, so it could give unwary opponents big problems whenever faced against you. With that being said, our next tip is to get to know your guns and when to use them. As a person who is completely clueless about guns, this one could really help. I suggest going for the Aerie since it does decent damage and its fire rate and recoil isn't that bad. So if you suck at aiming like me, this will pretty much help you, but you could also check out other guns once you feel a bit more confident with your aim. Next, maybe you might need to change some of your equipment settings. With FPS games, one of the best things that you should invest in is a decent mouse. So make sure that you're using a good mouse at the very least. You know, something that's comfortable, has a good sensor so you can make those headshots easily. But if you don't really have the budget to spend, then I suggest you try to find the perfect sensitivity settings that works best for you. You can adjust your mouse's DPI or sensitivity through the game's in-game settings and Windows mouse settings to really optimize what you have. And to add, another tip that people overlook is good audio. Let me get this straight, good audio matters. So get yourself a pair of decent headphones. Anyway, aside from looking around for enemies or improving your hand and eye coordination, you also need to listen for footsteps or gunfires to analyze the situation better. As I said earlier, you should get decent headphones for you to be really immersed with the action. So next up, play other modes like Execration if you want to improve your aiming since the game is pretty much inclined to killing, which helps you become a bit more alert in setting up plays to predict movements because of its limited time. These modes will surely help you improve on your skills, and the games are also pretty quick, so more games mean more experiences. Another tip that I picked up from friends is that the corners help. Depending on where you're at, corners are there to help you have that element of surprise to ambush coming enemies or just to give yourself cover whenever you're being attacked. If you master learning where you should position, this will improve your survivability in the game. To add, another tip is to be patient and wait for your enemies to commit a mistake. The game is a tactical shooter after all, and being patient will help you in these types of games. I know that you might be used to charging head on and being all commando, which is, to be honest, is fun, but it doesn't work most of the time, especially with Valorant. The game really forces you to become more patient and smart to win games much more efficiently. One thing I suggest you do is wait in a corner where most people pass through and just wait for your enemies to pass through and, shoot. This might be considered as camping, but hey, if it works, right? Also, a thing you should also do is to utilize your skills. Make combos so you could deal a lot more damage or assist your team for a victory. It is important that you really try to utilize your ultimate skill when you really have to. Knowing when to use it is a total game changer and requires a lot of game sense, since using the ultimates could really increase your chances of winning a round. And if you're still having trouble, I suggest that you get your friends to play the game with you. There is nothing wrong with a little help. The game is heavily team-based, so having someone that you can trust or actually good at FPS games will help you improve in your decision making, since they will for sure coach you in the game. I highly recommend that you turn on a mic in the game or go to Discord so you can plan out your game plans, make your communication a lot more easier. Plus, having friends is fun, dude. They really can help you become better by giving you tips on what to do in certain situations and support you emotionally whenever you feel bad about yourself when you choke at that last round. And when you die earlier in the round, you should really much reciprocate it and help them by revealing enemy locations or just help them coordinate attack. Also, get a decent mic while you're at it. But if you don't feel like talking, text chat is also available, but in my experience, it wouldn't really be effective. Lastly, if you want to improve, you should really keep on playing, since in each game there will also be new lessons for you to learn. You get to know your patterns and mistakes for you to improve, and of course, more games means you could really get used to how things work. Consistency will always be a key to winning. And you can achieve this trait by keeping on playing the game. So that's pretty much all the things that you need to be aware whenever you start playing this game. No doubt, Valorant is a very competitive game and it requires a lot of skills and experience to really get things rolling. But these types of games, practice and dedication will really help you become better. These tips are essential knowledge, but it still depends on the player playing the game. As my film professor once said, it's not the pana, it's the Indian. Sorry if I word that wrong, Sir Jag, but hey, hope you guys get my point. Anyway, if you have some additional tips you want to share, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. I'll try my best to reply as soon as I can. And if you guys like this video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, since it will really help this channel grow. So is subscribing and hitting the bell icon for future updates. And don't forget to visit yugatech.com/gaming for more news, tips, and tricks. It's your boy Enzo, and stay safe.